One final weekend and then maybe a couple of additional games on Monday of the Major League Baseball regular season. We'll see if we'll need that doubleheader in Atlanta between the Braves and the Mets. My guess would be yes, but it's the final weekend of the MLB regular season. Most has been determined around those playoff standings, but there is still some left at stake throughout this weekend. All 6 of the divisions have now been clinched as of Thursday night. The playoff races, though, for the wild card spots, still up in the air. Even more so now, Joe, in the National League than the American League, because the Twins falter and the Tigers and the Royals keep winning games, at least KC after snapping that 7-game skid. We start, though, in the National League. Let's look at those NL standings entering this final weekend. The Dodgers clinched the National League West for the 11th time in the last 12 years. The Philadelphia Phillies, their first divisional crown in the NL East since 2011. The Brewers were the first divisional champ to clinch in the National League. The thing that is still outstanding, who's going to earn that number 1 overall seed? The Dodgers a full game advantage over the Phils, and Philadelphia has the tiebreaker. San Diego pretty comfortable as of this moment with that top spot in the National League wild card standings, 3 games clear of New York. The Diamondbacks trail the Mets by a full game. The D-backs a full game in front of Atlanta for the 3rd and final spot in the National League playoff picture. So, who's everybody playing this weekend to end out the regular season? The Padres, again, pretty comfortable, not going to come back miraculously to claim the NL West. They go to Arizona. That should benefit the Diamondbacks. The Mets are playing a Brewers team in Milwaukee that on paper should be a difficult matchup, but Milwaukee not going to catch either the Phils or the Dodgers for the opening round bye. What do the Brew Crew still have at stake this weekend? And the Braves get the Royals. Now, KC still needs to win 1 game or see Minnesota lose another to clinch its playoff spot. But at least to start, Joe, KC will be fully invested in trying to steal a couple on the road in Atlanta.
Yeah, and this is the interesting part of when they decided to move those 2 games, right, Ben? Because it wasn't like you had the White Sox coming to town or the Rays, if you were the Braves, with absolutely nothing to play for, and the Braves would have the upper hand. The Braves are playing against a team fighting for their postseason lives, and this is all going to be either great for the Braves or terrible for the Braves. There's something to be said for this final week with teams that have really been in postseason mode, Ben, for about the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks here, including the Royals and the Braves. I think there's a lot of unders to be had in these games with teams that are still battling here. I think it's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out, but this is not a walk in the park for the Braves at all, even with Fried on the mound tonight.
And it's been weird now, right, for the Braves and the Mets. They played on Tuesday. Atlanta won the opening game of that now postponed set 5-1. You got to rework your starting staff. You got to figure out how the rest has been enveloped here in this home stretch of the MLB regular season in this final week. For what it is worth, Max Fried starts tonight for Atlanta against the Royals' Brady Singer. Atlanta a hefty home favorite, -174. But, Joe, to your point in terms of playoff totals, 7.5. The under has the juice. 7.5 is the total in Milwaukee. Sean Manaea gets the start for the Mets. They're a slight road favorite against Frankie Montas and the Brewers. Very intriguing stuff. In Arizona, the Diamondbacks a short home favorite against the Padres. Darvish and San Diego out in this matchup. So still something at stake here, Joe, as we look all around the National League. The Padres have clinched their playoff berth, by the way. I guess technically the Mets could win every game they have left remaining, and the Padres could really stumble in these final 3, and the Mets could earn the top playoff spot for some postseason positioning, but more than likely San Diego in that top spot. So shouldn't have a ton of care. Obviously, nobody's going to admit that. They're going to go out there and try to win baseball games. And MLB is a very random sport to handicap as it already stands. But just in terms of true motivation as your handicapping factor this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the Padres, and you kind of saw it last night. I would think you're going to start seeing some manipulation in bullpens for some of these teams that know you just got to be in it to win it. The Padres can rest tonight knowing the postseason it was what matters. So guys that need the extra rest that you might bring in a game, in a close game out of the bullpen may not get that call, Ben. So you've got to be weary of that betting these last couple of games. These teams already know they're heading to the postseason, the bullpens are not going to be used like they normally would have been used to give guys and set it up for the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. So you could think maybe all hands on deck in some spots. 8.5 the total tonight in the desert. If it is a playoff atmosphere with you, Darvish trying to sharpen the toolkit before the postseason begins against Merrill Kelly, might seem a little bit high in that one. The over does have a ton of the juice. Arizona needed their ace, Zach Gallen, to deliver earlier this week to avoid a sweep against the Giants and snap a 3-game skid. He did come through. Again, the D-backs a full game up over Atlanta. The Mets a full game in front now of Arizona as well. Let me just double check that here. Is it a full game? Yes, it is a full game in front of the Diamondbacks. Joe, we've got the Dodgers on the road in Coors Field against a bad Rockies team. We got the Phillies on the road in the nation's capital against a bad Washington team. How important do you think that number one overall seed is between these two teams? They're both going to earn that opening round bye, but how much will they jockey for home field advantage in what potentially would be all of the rounds throughout this NL postseason?
Yeah, and I think that means a lot, especially, I mean, if you're looking at Philadelphia, right? Philadelphia's home record, Ben, this year has been phenomenal. And I do think they would much rather make sure that they're secured no matter what, that they're going to get as many games as possible there. You know, the Dodgers obviously not going away. The Phillies are going to have to earn it. And I do think the Phillies are going to try to get some momentum here heading into the postseason, no matter what happens. So I expect all hands on deck for the Phillies.
The Dodgers would have to lose their series to the Rockies day after clinching a divisional crown. Minus 166 is the number on LA. But if the Dodgers lose 2 of 3 and the Phillies win 2 of 3, Philadelphia has the tiebreaker for that top spot. Same conversation in the AL next. The American League playoff picture, where it stands entering the final weekend of this MLB regular season. Unlike the NL that has the doubleheader potentially in Atlanta between the Braves and the Mets kind of hanging over everything, pretty clear and cut in terms of what we have in the American League. The Yankees finally clinching that American League East. Yesterday, they have a game advantage over the Cleveland Guardians for what is the top spot in the National League. Is there still more to play for there? Both of those top two teams, New York and Cleveland, have already earned that opening round bye in front of the Houston Astros. The Mariners were eliminated yesterday. And, Joe, we thought this final weekend would be insane in terms of the American League playoff picture. Could the Royals stop the bleeding? Could the Twins end their slide? And would the Tigers just keep on winning games? Well, before we even get to the weekend, we know the Twins continue to struggle. They lost a series against Miami at home in the midweek. Unfathomable. Frankly, they've lost 13 of their last 19. They are one loss away from being eliminated. They are one win away from either the Royals or the Tigers, or the Royals and the Tigers from making it out, or those two teams clinching an American League playoff berth, and the Twins already planning out their winter vacations. So here is what we have left standing this weekend. The O's go to Minneapolis against the Twins. Again, Baltimore pretty set. They're going to be the top seed in the American League wild card. They don't need a ton. Do they want to play better baseball? Is they're sub 500 in September and since the All-Star break? You would say, yeah, build that momentum, but outside of what they need postseason-wise, not a ton there. We've talked about the Royals and the Braves. KC, road underdog tonight in Atlanta. Both teams need some wins here in this final weekend. The Tigers get the White Sox. Chicago doing everything they can, Joe, to avoid loss 121 to not become the worst team in modern history in Major League Baseball. The Yankees host the Pirates. The Guardians host the Astros. Still some postseason positioning to determine there at the top.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, it's all but over here, Ben, because, I mean, the Twins would need to sweep the Orioles and then have either Kansas City or Detroit lose all 3 of their remaining games to have even a shot at the wild card. So the drama might come to a close here as we head into the weekend where, let's say the Twins lose here tonight and the Royals and Tigers win. It's ball game over. And then at that point, Ben, it's going to make Saturday and Sunday very lackluster as far as drama and motivation for those teams. But if by some miracle that the White Sox can continue their winning streak, they only need one of those teams to actually lose, Kansas City and Detroit, but they have to handle business. So this will, I think, as far as drama goes, maybe be the biggest night in the American League over the next 3 days. And it starts with the Twins here tonight handling business against Baltimore, who, to your point, has really not a whole heck of a lot going on here to prove.
And they're throwing out the young rookie, Cade Povich, who has been struggling this year. Baltimore, a hefty underdog on the road in Minneapolis. Pablo Lopez, however, gets the start for the Twins. They're a -166 favorite. So some of the drama we would expect to continue into Saturday. And listen, man, Detroit has not named its starter yet, and Garrett Crochet is going for the White Sox, and the Sox are coming off their first sweep since the end of April. So maybe there will be some life, at least for the Tigers stumbling at the end of tonight, but Detroit's still greater than a $1.60 favorite on that money line. The Tigers have won 5 straight, 8 of their last 9 with a win tonight. The Tigers clinch a playoff spot. Almost unthinkable when they were 4 games below 500 on August 22nd. I'm glad to have my plus 140 ticket on Detroit to make the postseason that I bet 9 days ago, and about 11 days ago it was plus 750. If you are the Twins, Joe, your best hope is Atlanta knocking off the Royals and keeping KC, fretting this series, because that's the one where both teams need to stack up wins to earn a playoff spot.
Yeah, and but again, if you're the Twins, you got to worry about what you can handle, right? Control what you can control. You got to win this game tonight against Baltimore, and you've got Lopez on the mound. I think who's won more games this year than he ever has before, and I think he's almost close to 200 strikeouts on the season, Ben. Yeah. So some personal, guys trying to get the extra money in the contract as well this weekend.
I'm sure there are some incentives at play. By the way, the Yankees did win the season series against the Guardians. They have the tiebreaker.
Yes.
So New York would have to lose their set against Pittsburgh, and Cleveland would have to win their series against Houston.